Rami Khouri is a distinguished public policy fellow at the American University of Beirut. He joins us now from Boston. Really good to have you back with us, Rami. We've finally seen this latest exchange take place. Of course, the release of prisoners was supposed to take place last Saturday, but Israel decided to call that off. What's your initial reaction to what we've seen now? Of course, we've only seen dozens of prisoners released of the 600 that are supposed to be freed. Is this a positive sign in your view?
Yes, I think it's a positive sign in a very erratic and unstructured process. The initial agreement was over 3 phases. The first phase, as your correspondent said, was about the easiest one, but then the next 2 are really difficult. The Israeli government, Netanyahu especially, never really was committed to the whole thing, but he had to do it because the Americans pushed him. We don't know if the whole thing is going to be implemented or not, because the really, really tough questions are coming up about Israel's full withdrawal from the Gaza Strip, governance issues, security issues, the role of Hamas, the status of Hamas. All of these are really, really tough issues that get to the heart of the conflict, which is that the state of Israel, which is the manifestation of the Zionist movement from a century ago, they want to call the shots in Palestine. They say all of Palestine is theirs, and they're the ones who determine what goes on there. And that Hamas is saying, no, we're going to resist. Palestine is our land. We're ready to share it with Israel, but we have to have a Palestinian state. And the interesting thing is that Hamas is the only Palestinian movement that's still using armed force in its resistance, and it's forcing the Israelis to enter into agreements with it on these ceasefire and hostage and prisoner exchange issues. So this is going to continue like this. The Israelis in particular are catering to their 3 audiences: their coalition government with the very right-wing forces, the public at large in Israel, and the United States. And it's a very, very tricky balancing act for Netanyahu, and he has to make himself look tough. And the reality is he hasn't been able to achieve most of his goals by force, by military force, and going to war again is not going to achieve anything new.
Now, if this latest exchange is completed, it would mark the final hostage and prisoner exchange in the first phase of this ceasefire agreement. But as you pointed out, the next stage of the truce remains in doubt. Negotiations have been stalled. Do you believe that Israel even wants it to progress to the second round?
Well, they will tell you that they want to achieve all of their commitments, but they don't really want to, and their actions are different than their words. Their actions are that they're prepared to stall, they're prepared to delay, they're prepared to put new demands on the table, because their main aim, their main 2 aims, which are linked, are first of all to get as many Palestinians out of Palestine as they can, so that they can continue having a Jewish greater Israel and with fewer and fewer Palestinians there. And their second aim is to project the image of being the strong party that's in charge of this, not just Gaza and Israel, but the region. If you look what they're doing in Lebanon, in Syria, in Iraq, and other places, they're trying to dictate to the whole region. They believe that their military power, which is serious power, supported by the equally serious American power, gives them the right to be the imperial lords of this region. Of course, the whole region rejects that and pushes back against them. So I think there will continue to be negotiations. The skill of the mediators is going to be extremely important now, and the unknown factor is the new American administration. They've given conflicting signals so far about fully supporting whatever Israel wants to do, but at the same time pushing Israel to implement the ceasefire, because Trump and his people do not want a war on their hands in the Middle East. And we've seen how a war in Gaza spreads to Lebanon and to Yemen and to Iraq and to Iran. and the U.S. had to come and save Israel when the Iranians were fighting with it. So these are issues that are all linked together, and if you look at the whole picture, the only conclusion we can draw is that there's no military resolution to this conflict. It has to be resolved politically. And that's what Israel doesn't want to do. It doesn't want to negotiate for a Palestinian state. It doesn't want to retreat from its military dominance of the whole region. And this is where the mediator's role is so important now. And we'll see if the new American administration, especially Wyckoff, the envoy, if they have the skill and the willingness to push the Israelis hard. And pushing the Israelis hard means simply that they will get a deal that gives them the security guarantees they want, removes the threats from Hamas and Hezbollah and other people, and gives the other people, the Lebanese, the Palestinians, the rights that they deserve.
Okay, Rami Khouri, we will have to leave it there, but it's always really good to get your thoughts. Thank you again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.